Well, the Biden cancer saga just got a lot more interesting because, we've had, as president of the United States, you undergo multiple different tests for physical fitness, for cognitive fitness. Well, Joe Biden, I think, skipped out on the last several cognitive fitness tests. But, you had the media saying, oh, it was just conspiracy theories about mental fitness. And now the latest is that Biden spokespeople are saying that he wasn't even getting basic prostate cancer screenings. They just said, oh, no, he just didn't get them. So they claim that he, even as a vice president and a president of the United States, did not get the PSA test, the prostate specific antigen test, since 2014, even though in 2019, the doctors noted that he had an enlarged prostate. In 2021, they had a polyp that was removed through colonoscopy. And throughout that time, you would think that he had had multiple different blood tests, but no PSA tests. And then all of a sudden you have stage 4 cancer that has already spread to the bone. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Just none of this makes any sense. And you would think that they would be prepared to come up with more information that would just make it sound a little bit better. And it feels like every time they give more information about it, it becomes more and more unbelievable. More and more unbelievable that not only are you supposed to believe that they didn't catch it from, being the president. I said this the day that the news broke. It's like, he's not like us, okay? We have to go to a doctor, or even before we go to a doctor, what do? We have to pull out our insurance card. Okay, I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. Where can I go that's going to accept my insurance? I have this PPO and I only can pick from these doctors. So which doctor do I want to go to, or urgent care or whatever? That's not how Joe Biden's care was. He literally just got the best healthcare in the world, presumably. And still they just didn't do the tests. My thought process is, okay, let's take that out to its logical conclusion. If that is the case, whatever doctor was taking care of Joe Biden should be investigated. If that's the case, if that's actually true, which I don't think it is, if that's actually true, let's take them at their word. Let's investigate the doctor, and let's look into whether or not that doctor should still have a license, that they have an 80-year-old man and they aren't doing routine PSA blood tests on this 80-year-old man, even as president of the United States. To me, let's look into that, because that is negligence in care.
Even Ezekiel Emanuel is coming out and saying, and clearly fully embedded in the left.
Right.
That he does not believe that he's like, I think he even said this didn't come on like in the past 100 days.
Right.
Like, this is something they must have known about in the past. And historical precedent here is very interesting to me. And I think it's kind of the thesis point of my angle on this, what's going on. But the last time I can remember a doctor covering up for a president included the president's wife, and that was Edith Wilson, when Woodrow Wilson was basically incapacitated. It was to the point to where Edith Wilson was just running the White House. Edith Wilson was
signing
the
everything
president.
for him. Yeah.
There was a point to where they couldn't make it so obvious. So there was like a point I cannot remember the year, but there was a point within the legislative portion where there was up to 28 bills that were passed into law where there was no signature. There was, from the White House, they just went completely dark because he was incapacitated. They knew they needed his signature on that. They ignored it, and they just went ahead and said, well, this is law, and they did that. I think that's exactly what has been happening over the past 4 years. There was a point, I think the president didn't even get a neurological exam past like February of 2024 because they just didn't want
They knew.
Yeah,
they knew.
They knew. They knew.
They didn't want it in writing.
Exactly. So
that's what's going on here.
Exactly what's going on here. Now the question is, well, who exactly, and we're dancing around it, but who exactly was running the White House? Who was running the country? I want names.
Yes.
They all need to be brought out. They need to be held accountable.
Yes.
Because like Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, what difference does it make right now? Are you kidding me? What difference does it make? No one will ever be held accountable for this. We can have a shadow government controlling the entire country, and it doesn't matter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even that. Well, yes, that. But on top of that, it's like, how about the auto pen pardons? Right? How about the Anthony Fauci pardon? And
I like Fauci.
My junior high school
Archie.
humor started going through.
I like it.
how about the
Anthony Farty over here is doing his thing.
the Biden family pardons? I mean, these were very, very big pardons, specifically Anthony Fauci for all of the disgusting harm that he did this country and the justice that he should face. That it's like, okay, well, if he wasn't even running the country, he wasn't doing anything. We've got documented proof of that, and we can tie someone else to the signing of these pardons. Take them off the table.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. There's my opinion now, okay? My opinion. The tests were done. They were not shared with the public because he's getting the test. Like, you're not going to tell me that I was at the White House last week and we were talking about the fake set, the Oval Office set that is built at the White House, right? Where, remember, he takes the jab on a set. So you give him the jab, but not a screening. He had the screening. I didn't know that he was even ever told what is happening in his body. My opinion, they did the tests. They couldn't put it in documentation because today they would have to agree, oh, he was not healthy. Oh, he had complications because they always said, no, he's clean bill of health. He's perfect, right? So they'd have to retract and recant separately Barack Obama and Jill Biden. Barack Obama, I believe, ran that White House. And Jill Biden was the puppet master's puppet.
She'd be charged with elder abuse.
And she put her husband out there like crazy and helped run that White House. And yes, the pardons, I mean, Barack Obama, Biden, and then the cabal with Obama.
Sure. I one more fascinating tidbit here. Apparently, prostate cancer treatment is linked to cognitive decline. There was a 2008 study in the journal Cancer that says there's a strong argument that the androgen ablation therapy is linked to subtle but significant cognitive declines in men with prostate cancer. And then there's another one, Cancer Research UK, that says hormone therapy can cause different side effects. This includes problems with concentration, thinking, and memory.
Wow.
And it's probable that man got medication in his body, honestly, and he didn't even know. Honestly, because he was not there.
He wasn't.
And he was a prop. I've said it before. It was Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years.
Yeah.
Prop him up.
And we still need accountability for that.
Seriously.
I'm with you, Jason. Like, we cannot let this go.
I don't even know that those pardons should stand.
No, they for sure. I mean, there's already enough evidence that they should.
Come on now.
But
I mean,
Some of them, he was on vacation, like in the Bahamas at the time, playing golf when they were signed.
Right.
Give me a
well,
freaking
playing
break.
golf is a stretch.
There was a
President Trump would say, well, hold on now. He was riding a golf cart on the golf course.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not playing golf.
asleep.
eating an
It's
ice cream
like
sandwich.
during the debate when
like
when
he was
like,
swimming.
"Oh,
No, he
I
wasn't.
could beat you at golf." President Trump's
my
like,
God.
"Okay, buddy." All right.
Can I get us? Do I have time?
Yeah, real quick.
This scandal, we're only scratching the surface.
Yes.
Of. Because I can remember reports now. I mean, even if you take Jake Tapper's ridiculous mea culpa now with his book, you take what they found out suddenly, along with all the other reporting that, from the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they were all doing stories in 2024 near the end after the election. But all of them mention whispers that his cognitive decline started after he left the White House when he was vice president. That's when it started. Then it started
We all saw.
Everyone. But I'm sure they did too.
Yeah,
Of course they
of
did.
course.
Of course they did.
But what better way to have your puppet in there when you can load it up with Obama people like
Right.
Susan Rice? We're like,
Right.
why is
Yes.
Susan Rice in there?
Right.
Well, it seems
Right.
very freaking obvious.
Yes. And by the way, to your point, Jason, and then I know we got to go to break here, but I want to give you credit because I remember specifically talking to you about Joe Biden's speech announcing that he was running for president and how different he seemed. Obviously not the Joe Biden that we see today. I mean, he's much more deteriorated than then. But even we were talking about then when he announced to run for president all the way back then that he just was not the same Joe. He just was not quite right. He was not the same Joe Biden. We saw it even back then. And now Jake Tapper on May 21st of 2025 is like, look
Who
what we
knew?
know.
No,
Yeah, who
crazy.
knew? Who knew?
Shut up.
Shut up. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.